So I have a question for everybody. Imagine a person came to you and tells you that they needed to see a counselor. What do you imagine about that person? Weak, depressed, unstable, or mentally ill are the most common responses. Well, what can we notice from those ideas? They are all typically negative, and they're the stigmas that are unfortunately associated with counseling. As a definition of stigma, the Cambridge Dictionary describes stigma as a strong feeling of disapproval that most people in a society have about something, especially when this is unfair. Stigmas are harmful and create a sense of shame or judgment that prevents many people from pursuing counseling. In reality, people link counseling with weakness. Many people stigmatize counseling because they fear meeting the humiliation of needing to see a counselor, such as the embarrassment of others' perceptions and themselves feeling some way weak or deficient. Well, that might be fine for someone who is struggling mentally or needs help. But what if I told you that every single person should see a counselor? Every single person. That might sound a little extreme. You might be thinking, I'm normal. I don't need counseling. But I hope to persuade you that I'm right during my talk today. So who am I to persuade you? Well, let me tell you the story about me. I was born and raised in Japan. Throughout my whole life of growing up in this country's culture, I have been struck by the poorly accepted counseling accessibility among individuals. According to JNet 21, only less than 6% of our population utilizes counseling today in Japan. That means only 1 in every class of 20 students has ever seen a counselor in their lives. But why is this a problem? We'll take a look at this chart. What do you think this chart is indicating? This chart, presented by NHK World Japan, shows the number of committed suicides attempted among teens in Japan. In 2020, there were approximately 500 committed suicides among the youth, which was a leap of almost 25% from the previous year. COVID was a tragedy for everyone. This pandemic accentuated the phenomena of overcoming anxieties, including poor academic performances, career uncertainty, and family problems. Every time I look at that data, I'm terrified. But the scariest part for me personally is that I feel like I was almost one of them. I could be one of those 500 people. Counseling literally saved my life. Take a look at this picture of a 7-year-old boy. Doesn't he look pretty normal, like you guys were in your childhood? Well, guess who this is? It was me, back in 2nd grade. In this picture, I look happy and confident. But at this time, I was facing this personal turmoil. A turmoil that 1 million children encounter today around the world. Not being able to attend school. Nowadays, it is not uncommon for children to have difficulty attending school, especially in Japan, and various factors are attributed. But mine was due, not to the pandemic, but to the stress I was experiencing from my parents' divorce. My parents' divorce was by far the most challenging experience in my life. I faced major anxiety and had trouble verbalizing my feelings in words. Yet one day, my mother took an action which genuinely changed my life. She grabbed me by the shoulders and took me to see a counselor. When my mother and I arrived at the building, we entered a tiny room where a man awaited us. Soon after, the man informed me that I would have to visit counseling sessions every weekend starting that day. Counseling? I thought. I hesitated. I was filled with this deep sense of shame, and I couldn't morally beguile myself from speaking my pain or weaknesses to someone else. However, as I kept taking counseling progressively, I realized something very essential. I realized that counseling process is just like working with clay. You might ask, why clay? But what I mean by this is that the counseling process is adaptable. Similar to how clay may be molded in whatever shapes you like. Counseling adjusts to each individual based on the type of person they are, their level of maturity, and the issue they'd like to address. For example, the counseling sessions initially took back in second grade were not something I envisioned or what people talked about in school. Every time I visited the counselor, they allowed me to play with sands, toys, and clays. I didn't lay on the couch and talk about my childhood. I just had to chat with the counselor naturally, in the way that I felt was the most comfortable. Crying or disclosing secrets were not a requirement. To my surprise, it was full of joy and laughter. As I continued to take counseling, I realized that counseling is nothing like a hospital or seeing a doctor, but it is a place where individuals may condition themselves intellectually, similar to how people go to gyms to maintain their physical fitness. Indeed, you don't have to be weak or unstable to benefit from counseling. All you have to do is be yourself. You only need your encouragement to knock that door to counseling. Once you open that door, counselors will help you reshape your experiences. As I stated earlier, counseling is just like clay. But not only the counseling process adjusts to you, but counseling is also adaptable in terms of how you may extend yourself to counseling opportunities. For students, school counseling is one of the most productive ways. At our school ASIJ, seeing a counselor is surprisingly popular. Regarding our school's exceptional counseling acceptance, I interviewed one of the school counselors, Ms. McShane, who informed me that the school has held its new counseling system since 2019, which they call Comprehensive Counseling Model. This system has been exhaustive and practical and helps students exponentially, both academically and emotionally. These shifts are essentially occurring at international schools worldwide to serve students with the most supportive assistance possible. In addition, you don't even have to leave the comfort of your home to reach out to counselors anymore. Online counseling is helpful for someone who is afraid of seeing a counselor physically. Taking counseling is not challenging, and you could choose the most comfortable way for you. I promise you, the counselors will not criticize or judge. They are there to listen to your stories. They are there to support you. You can open up and share. By unlocking and opening your courage, you could be more honest about your struggles, allowing you to build stronger, healthier, and more supportive relationships. All of us, especially those who live in Japan, need to realize that counseling isn't just a treatment for mental illnesses. It is a secret that we should all normalize to make our lives better. Counseling is what empowers you so that you could become the sculptor. Counselors help you prepare for future challenges, and you, yourself, had the tools all along. Talk to your loved ones and encourage them to take counseling. Don't hesitate to see a counselor when you're mentally stressed. Helping one person might not change the whole world, but it could change the world for one person. So next time you hear somebody's taking counseling, don't associate that person with stigma, but as someone who is positively taking action, as someone who you will look up to, as someone like a sculptor. Thank you.